computer. Okay, let's take a minute of silence. From the unreal, lead us to the real. From darkness, lead us to light. From death, lead us to immortality. Okay, let's start by reading or reciting the golden stairs. Does anyone wants to volunteer to read? Or recite? Nobody? Okay, Liu, Ta.
Behold the truth before you, a clean life, an open mind, a pure heart, an inner intellect, an unveiled spiritual perception, a brotherliness for one's co-disciple, a readiness to give and receive advice and instruction, a loyal sense of duty to the teacher, a willing obedience to the behest of truth. Once we have placed our confidence in and believe that teacher to be in the possession of it, a courageous endurance of personal injustice, a brave declaration of principles, a valiant defense of those who are unjustly attacked, and a constant eye to the ideal of human progression and perfection, which the secret science depicts. These are the golden stairs up the steps of which the learner may climb to the temple of divine wisdom.
All right. Okay. So I realize because this is a commentary, we can actually start with the commentary. We can just briefly read through all this. You see, you can take a look. This is just a little bit of introduction until the first one, clean life. So,
but maybe we can quickly read through what is in the middle also.
Yes, we will briefly read through, as in like we will read it out, and then if there's anything we'll discuss, like the early parts.
But we can do it like more quickly. And I think it's good if every time we start by reading what Leo just read. Because this is like the main text.
Yes. We will do that. Okay.
If you like, I can help you to read this introductory part that
of
we're
course.
skipping.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Yes. The statement consists of a prefatory injunction, 13 noun phrases, and a concluding statement that serves as a coda to round off the whole. It is deceptively simple statement, which many readers may be inclined to regard as a collection of pious banalities. But such a reading quite misses the point of this document, which is the fact a tightly structured guide to a moral action. Preface, the Golden Stairs is general advice that applies to a variety of situations, not a specific list of thou shalt and thou shalt nots. It reflects a belief in natural ethics rather than it revealed commandments. In its prefatory injunction, it stresses the naturalness and obviousness of moral action. The reader is told, behold the truth before you. The ethical principles on which we should act are clear and available to everyone. They stare us in the face, and all we need to do is be aware of them. Indeed, given a reality of karma, the effect of our actions which determine our future, we have no alternative but to come to terms with the moral imperative of nature. Our only option is whether we shall come to terms with karma consciously, in a full awareness of the meaning and effect of our actions, or whether we shall come to terms with karma unawares, whether that is we were to be the victors of or the victims of our own actions.
Is there any comments?
Well, this is a really good one. I think especially the last few sentences that if we are doing it consciously, and that's, I think, what this Theosophy is trying to teach us, to be consciously aware of your actions and take your spiritual development in your hand, not just hope it happens in many next lives and so on. So yeah, and then we might be victors, we have a chance. But if we are doing it unconsciously, there's not much chance.
Is there anyone that wants to add on? How does one come to terms with karma consciously? It's a question for you.
Well, the one thing is good to know that it exists somehow.
Okay, Leo.
To accept things as they are and not to be resistant to it.
So,
I
okay, Mary,
just what Leota just said, it means that if you're not resistant, it means that you have like 100% belief in a karma law, that everything acts in a way it should be, that the world is fair, even though I might have unjust attacks. They might seem unjust in a view of this life. I have nothing done, why these things happen to me, but in a longer run, that you have a calmness, like there's a reason why things happen, and sometimes it's not a bad thing that something happens. Some things it just prepares you for some next things. Yeah.
Thank you. Christopher? You unmute yourself.
I think something. Yeah, so I think somehow similar to what Leota and Marika says. I think it says that we come to terms with karma consciously. I think it means that we are going to live our life with the idea that there is a law of karma, and we're going to act and think and feel in ways that we try to live in harmony with it. So we try to live a harmless life. We try to do whatever we can to prevent doing harm, and then we try to do whatever we can to do things that to benefit other people, because that's the only thing we can do, to live in accordance with this law or to go against it, to live in the ignorance or in the unawareness of karma. In that sense, then everything appears to be random. But if we live with it consciously with karma, then we know that everything we do has an effect. Because I think that's also the main point of the preface. I think Theosophy is somehow similar to what like Stephen Covey says in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He says that there are universal principles that are true, that are self-evident, that go beyond culture, because some values are cultural, like a Muslim can have many wives, a Christian can only have one wife. But from the theosophical perspective and from other ethical perspective, there are certain truths that are there because it's there, like honesty is the best policy. So if society follows this, then society will thrive. But if society breaks this law, then there will become distrust in society, there will be chaos in society, and it ultimately will crumble. Of course, it's not as simple as that, but I think it's just saying that we have to live in with the awareness that there is such a law.
Oh, that's a good one. I think there is a part like Leonardo's and I was discussing before about how do we actually know we are actually resisting the great plan, right? A lot of times we think, there are things that we do that comes with difficulty, right? There's not everything is smooth sailing, right? There will be things that could be resistance, right? Things doesn't go the way we plan. I'm sure we are not alone. Like, it's not just the two of us that actually experience this. How can we actually discern what it is according to according to the heaven's will, so to speak, or is it our personal will? The question. Anyone?
I would like to share my thoughts on that as well. I don't think there's any concrete thing that we can know that, this is like 100%, this is the universal law, or this is like 100%, this is the will of heaven. I think that as human beings, our perceptions are limited. And because of that, our ability to perceive truth versus reality is also limited. But the effort to try, according to Theosophy, expands our awareness a little bit. So what the masters tells us is that we should just continue to try. And they told us again, we should try to live the theosophical life. So whenever we try to make a decision, whenever we try to make sense of our life, whenever we try to reflect on things, we try to study. So we try to think, what did the masters tell us? We try also to figure out if it makes sense logically with us. And then once we have like an inkling of what mentally we think is right, we should go into meditation so that we have like an inner sense of what is right and what is wrong. Because during the stillness, even though our logic may say it's right, but the still small voice might direct us to another way, another direction. And I guess the last would be the life of service. If we're really living the theosophical life, if we're really living closer to the truth, then it should make us better persons, right? It should help us to live the life of service. Just like what Christ told us, it is by their fruits that you shall know them. So if it helps us to become better persons, if our decision helps us to become better individuals, then maybe it's a bit closer to the truth. But we can't really say that I have the truth 100% or you have the truth 100%. We're just trying to everybody's just trying to figure out we're trying to make sense of life as it goes along. That's my take on it.
Oh, that's a good one. Mary Kay?
I was just listening what Chris was saying. I very much like, this idea. And also, I was thinking, how could I come to terms with the karma consciously? I think one good thing we can do is read. There are some books. I mean, you first of all you have to have understanding that there is such a law like karma, and little by little, then the other part is the reincarnation. But if you got those things clear, then maybe to read, I think there's a book about Buddha's previous lives, and there's some books about in occult investigation of previous lives of some people that Annie Besant and Lead Peter did. And I really like you can go back and they're like a little bit commenting on it. You can see they do something in one life and some other life, this comes up, and it might be not the next life. It might have several things between when the opportunities come up. And then you start seeing the pattern. It is not like one-to-one, but maybe it is good in order to understand that every little thing you do is in a long, like a bigger picture, taking into account. I think there was one person who was like a saint or almost a Buddha, and nobody could kill him, but for some reason they needed to kill him. And he says, only thing is if you take, was it the blade of grass, or he did some harm in some of his previous life to an ant or something, and by that means he could be killed. I don't remember exactly the story, but it was like, because yeah, this is of course the symbolic story, but the thing is like every little thing is taken into account, and to really understand that, then you start looking every little thing in your life. Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, that's a good one. Leo?
Well, I think that everyone has their own dharma. Like every lifetime we have different dharma. So it doesn't really matter what dharma it is, as long as we live to the 13 steps, the golden stairs here, to the best that we can. I think it's already good for a lifetime. And sometimes I was wondering, it doesn't really help to really find out if this is my personal will or this is the heaven's will, because at the end of the day, we still need to take some actions, and the way that we live our life will be the best way to find out the answers, maybe down the road. That's my take.
That's good. Sweat?
Yeah, I wanted to say that it's good to know about karma, but all the main religious traditions, they teach doing good, not doing harm in their way. But karma gives some kind of philosophical and, so to say, practical, esoteric understanding or explanation to that, so that there is this thing that works. That's why, like, the foundation, why you should basically be, other than all the good ideas, all the moral ideas of we being one, of empathy and compassion, all of that, of course, but also there is karma. So whatever you do will come back to you, and that gives strength and foundation for all the teachings of all the world religious traditions that say don't do harm to anyone, do good to everyone as you can. And then, so it's very good to know about it, but then it's observation, because very often you can see in your life, or you can suppose, at least, it's like what they say, the main idea how karma works is the easiest thing in the world. Like, what is it? What you sow, that you shall reap, something like that in the Bible, right? What you give comes back to you. That's it, basically. But the specific ways how karma works is the most complex thing in the world, because the whole universe is the manifestation of karma. But you can, in your own life, you can still try to observe. And some things that happen to you, if you observe, I think they can convince you that, yeah, better to believe and better to accept this law and to live in accordance with it. Thank you.
Oh, that's a good one. Leo?
I remember when Pablo analogized all of this as like in a play in the stage. Like everyone has their own dharma. There is a script that everyone's given, the role, but understanding that this is a play, and it's not zeroed in into like just going through the flow in that sense. In itself is that somehow the free will within the karmic web and connection that we have been discussing. And reminds me of what Robin Williams aptly said in one of his movies, which is like, he said that there is a grand play happening. So how would you want to contribute? Yeah.
Thank you. That's a good one. I think I remember when I was in the Buddhist class previously, there was a concept about, I think what Mary Kay was talking about, that the debt will always come when the conditions is right. And it comes not necessarily in the same life or consecutive lives. It could be like 7 lives before that happened. And to add on to what Liu Ta was talking about, that and Christopher was talking about as well, it is really difficult to know what. It's difficult to discern. And yes, of course, we have to live our lives to be able to tell better the next time round. We could actually observe, we could tell, we could see, we could make a good guess over time. And it gives a lot of, it's very heartwarming to know and hopeful to know that every single second that we pass, we are trying to give rise to conditions for karma to be able to manifest itself. And then hopefully we could work it out. And by the time, while we are waiting for karma to, or the debt, or whatever to happen, we do not incur more. So overall, the balance doesn't increase as much in the sense of karma accumulated from ignorance. Right? Karma is definitely, it's sure to do, right? You walk around, whatever you do, you breathe, you talk to people, all those are karma. It creates karma. But this is important, that following the set of golden stairs, it could help us to reduce the overall balance of it. Okay, that's...
I just wanted to add
Yes.
I'm sorry, are you?
No, please.
I just wanted to add something. I just thought of it while you were saying something. But karma, the concept of karma in theosophy is actually helpful for me because, for example, right now I have an illness, right? So in my mind, when I'm asking why or what's happening, so this is just karma that I need to burn. So that's like the intellectual understanding of it. So it helps me to endure things which other people might not be able to endure because they can't make sense of why it's happening. But because of this framework, we understand that, at the beginning of this cycle, we all started as savages. We probably had a past life where we inflicted pain on other people. And at this particular point in time, maybe the conditions are ripe so that karma can come in. But it's not the end of the world. It's just something that you have to go through and you can end. And then it gives you like hope and meaning because if today, while you're suffering, you actually start implanting good seeds, then there's hope in the future that, I'll be able to reap better things because right now, even though I'm suffering, I'm no longer inflicting suffering on others. So I can stop that cycle and then I can begin a new one wherein I can sow beneficial deeds. And in the future and in some future life, I'll be able to reap more of the good things that could happen.
Oh, this is indeed the Bodhisattva path, right? Do no harm and only do good. That's a good one. Yeah, Leo.
Yeah, Christopher, whatever you have said really, really, really touched me. And it reminds me of one of the sayings that a very senior TS member here in Australia, she reminded me that, karma knows how to work, and karma will find the best time the best moments, the best people, the best circumstances for each of us to work out our own karma. We cannot do any better job than karma. And with, and the thing is that things happen to us, but it's really actually you who's going to define it as like a bad karma. It's actually an opportunity to burn off the bad karma. So that's why I really like the way that you see it, Christopher. Thank you.
That's good. All right. Any more add-ons? If not, let's continue with these. Anyone? Is it Vignesh? Or is it?
Okay, I'll read.
Nice.
Yeah, sorry. I'm sitting next to. Is it echoing now?
You want to talk to mine?
Okay.
The mystical voice of Vignesh.
Greetings from space.
From the mountains.
Okay. Right. In Jainism, one of the religions of India whose origin is approximately contemporary with that of Buddhism, the great saints are called jinas, victors, from the root of the verb jayati, or he conquers. The word Jain means pertaining to the victors, and those who call themselves Jains are following in the footsteps of the victorious saints. The Jinnah has conquered illusory action, false desires, and ignorance. He has beheld the truth before him. The Jinnah has already climbed the golden stairs and therefore is the victor, the conqueror.
I got something to ask. Oh, thanks, Vignesh. It's a good one. What is illusory action, false desires? Okay, ignorance we can put it aside first, but illusory action and false desires, like how is desires false? How does it make sense? Anyone? Medicate?
So, false desires in that sense that you have come a long way from the oneness to like the separateness, and you feel that the separate part, that this part, you are only this part, and this part wants to be happy in, it doesn't care what others happening. So in that sense, I think if it says it conquers the false desires, it understands that I think it has some kind of connection with the bigger oneness, the bigger whole. And the illusory action is like, this is also like connected to that. You're doing something, you're thinking what you're doing is separate from all the rest of the world, but everything, every thought we are thinking is affecting all the field of like the mental field and all the things we are doing, and are affecting not only us, but much more everybody else also, more or less, like the butterfly effect. So illusory action, in that sense, you think they are separate, but they're not separate, and false desires also, in that sense.
Oh, good one. Leota?
I think the false desires is like people want to have more money, to be happy, or they want to be successful in their career, or they want to have family and kids and stuff like that, so to be like exactly everybody else, to make them feel fulfilled. But all of these come from the all of these are false desires because they are coming from the false self that they identify themselves with. So the false self here means it's not the true self. So the false desires, it can be considered as like the personal desires or the lower self desires. And the illusory action is because of the attachment to all the unreal stuff. So we take the reality as the real one, like the physical world as the real reality, but it's not. So illusory action comes from all the attachment with the senses that we entangle ourselves with the physical world. And the ignorance is what Marika just said. I think that ignorance comes from the wrong belief of separateness. We believe that we are separate from each other, but we don't know that we are actually the unity in life, like oneness.
Thank you. Chris?
Yeah, I think Leota has already mentioned what I was going to say, but yeah, I agree because in mystical literature, the mystics always tell us that the greatest illusion is the separation of the self. We think we're separate from other beings, but at a certain stage of mystical development, in Theosophy, we call it the Atma, right? There's only one spirit, but as it descends down to into form, it begins to differentiate. So there's an illusion that I am different from another person. I am different from Miriki. I'm different from Liota. But from the mystical sense, we are all just one spirit. And I guess that's the thing that the Gina has to conquer. The ignorance, thinking that we are separate, that what I do, it will not affect anybody else, just like what Marike mentioned, that everything I do is just for me. And then the false desires, the desires that are just for me, I want this, I want that, and another person may have different desires. And then the illusory actions, similar to what Leota was explaining, we think that we're doing it, but actually, it could actually be just an after effect of our karma. And we're thinking that we're doing it, but we're just reacting to something, but it's not really our action. We're just reacting to something that's already happening outside. So maybe there's a state wherein at a certain point we can rise above these three things, and then the Gina has experienced that mystical vision that there's just one life behind all things.
Wow, super good. Thank you, Chris. You know, we were watching on Netflix, right? How to Get Away with Murder. It's an Emmy Award show, right? And then this statement always comes up. As long as you are happy, or like sometimes after having intimate actions in bed, right? He says like, oh, I love you because you make me happy, or love equals to happy, right? And I think the questions comes up, like why would anyone say that? That actually means happy. Right? I think there were times, especially the start of my spiritual journey, I start to look at what are the things that I feel that I would do and want that will make me happy. And often than not, I realize the things that I thought will make me happy are just things that everyone else around me wants. It's not what I want. Right, I think Jim Carrey, the guy from The Mask or the Ace Ventura, Jim Carrey, the actor, he says that, my greatest hope, paraphrasing, is for everyone in the world to get what they wish for, so that they could realize that is ultimately not what they wanted. So that is the part, I think, at least to me, is the illusory aspect and the false aspect of the desires, and which, of course, is a result of ignorance. Gina, it's good, strong, the conqueror. Okay, next. Vignesh, you want to continue? You only read one paragraph.
Sure. The prefatory injunction is a statement about the naturalness of moral law and its public availability, and is also a call for us to respond consciously to it. The moral truth of life is before us. It is up to us to behold it. The process of beholding consists of the 13 steps that make up the golden stairs. Those steps form 3 groups. The first group with 5 steps, and the second and third groups with 4 steps each. The first group of steps deals with the most general principles of ethical behavior. The remaining 2 groups become increasingly specific.
Thank you, Vignesh.
Continue.
Wait. I think this reminded me about, I think on the second session that we were talking about, the steps of the golden stairs. Are those like really like consecutive steps? Or is it something that we do all together? Or what? Do you remember what we were talking about during one of the sessions?
Have to go back and forth many times.
Yes.
Yeah. I think the idea is to ultimately live the steps simultaneously, of course. But I don't know. It does seem to follow a logical order to kind of build up to the ideal way to behave or live. So you can look at it as basic to more specific, as I just read. And also, of course, the ultimate idea is to do everything together, ultimately. No?
That would be like a saint. You can do everything all together. Yeah, I think it's interesting that, it is actually 3 groups, right? And of course, the most general principles of ethical behavior is the first group, and then the other 2 to be more specific. And this was also something that we were discussing on the second one, because we know that there are basics, fundamentals of ethics that we have to follow. And so Vignesh escaped. Who is able to read this paragraph? Is there anyone?
I can read it if you want.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay. Number 1, the clean life. The very first of the steps is an inescapable preliminary, a clean life. In a sense, this step implies all the rest. If it were taken fully, it would be not the first but the final step. Cleanliness, says folk wisdom, is next to godliness. And so it is, in a more profound sense than the folk saying is usually understood. A completely clean life is a completely moral one. So in our beginning is our end, but the golden stairs are not a scale to be run up once only. All metaphors have their limits. And if we think of this set of ethical principles that we call the golden stairs too literally as steps that we climb one at a time to reach some pinnacle of moral perfection, we will have transpassed the limits of the metaphor. We do not climb the golden stairs once only, but many times repeatedly. Every action of ours is a step in some direction on these stairs. And so the first step is not taken once only, but over and over again. When we at last take the step of a clean life perfectly, we will have passed over all the other steps and arrived at the temple to which they lead.
Thank you. I think this is a very interesting portion, right? Because you see, in the previous paragraph, it talks about how the first group of steps are the most general principles. But here, it would not be the first, but the final step. Is anyone able to make sense of this? Why would this be the
Can I
first?
try?
Yeah, Chris.
Can I try? Because I think the clean life refers to the purity of the person, not just on the physical sense, but on the emotional and on the mental plane as well as on the higher planes. So in this sense, the clean life is achieving that moral perfection because you're already clean physically, you're already clean emotionally, you're already clean mentally in and even on the higher planes, if it's even possible to get impurities there, but it's already so the lower self is already perfectly clean, so it's a perfect reflection of the higher self. So it's the end stage, right, of what we're currently studying. We don't know if there's another stage after that, but it's the end stage for that. But at the same time, it's also the beginning, because where we are to where we want to go, it's a process. So we begin first by cleaning our physical body. And then I think it also includes like our diet. That's why in Theosophy, we try to become vegetarian. We try also to exercise to purify the physical body. And then we try to harmonize our emotions to purify it. And then it goes on and on. So it's the first step, but it continues on. We go back to it after a certain period, and then at the end, we'll reach the cleanest state that we can possibly reach. That's how I understand it.
Oh, good one. It's iterative. Thanks. Sweat.
Yeah, very much in line with what Chris said also, because we want to see what is impurity, right? The physical level is doesn't really matter unless in the terms of hygiene, but for spiritual development, like there are things that are dirty and that are obvious that we all try to avoid naturally, normal people do. But then as we as we study or understand our personality deeper and deeper and deeper, we come into contact with new layers of experience, new layers of motivations, and so on and so on. And everywhere there is something that is more pure, that is more in line with our true nature, and that is contradictory to it. And the deeper we go, the more we discover. So, final purity, as it says here, as Chris also mentions, it's when our lower self is completely in resonance with our true nature, true self, high manas or buddhi manas, or even our monad. And that is a great path. When we achieve that, then that's victory, basically. So, like all the problems come from ignorance, as Buddhism says also. We don't know what we are, but we have a false concept of what we are at the same time. So that's the fundamental ignorance in dirt, so to say. In Dhammapada, the Buddhist text, there is this kind of phrase that the dirt of ignorance is the worst dirt. The rest comes from there. And if we completely remove that, then we achieve liberation, victory, and freedom. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a good one. Anyone else? Leonidas.
So
Yeah,
is oh, go ahead.
oh, thank you. For me, clean life could be the first and the last, because if we believe that there's only one life, then we could make a vow of liberating all sentient beings, and that also includes mineral life, plant life, and probably, we don't know, the AI life, because there's only one life. And if there's really no separation, the moment we reach higher steps individually, then we come to terms that the veils of this separation are being lifted, and we see that there's only one life, and we always come back to see that we mirror ourselves with these lives, both sentient and non-sentient, and ultimately we will be able to purify as one. So that would be my sharing. Thank you.
Thank you. Leonidas.
Yeah. When Francis mentioned about the paradox here, is interesting to me that in our society, specificity is seen to be more superior than general things. But actually it is like the saying that says like simplicity is the highest sophistication or something like that. There's like if we kind of change general into universal, then I guess it will make sense. There's like something that is general into like more specific. kind of like opening all of the cans of worm until there is nothing else to open, and then it comes back into something that is generally or good and clean again, if that makes sense.
That's good. America.
How
Hello.
did you know that it was me? Okay, it was me. I just wanted to say this sentence, cleanliness is next to godliness, is one of my very favorite sentences. We use it here often to inspire people to clean.
Why are you looking at me?
Vignesh has been very helpful in that regard, but I really felt first thing, you in a physical plane, you clean around, then you can think more clearly, then you clean, like, I don't know, your devices, like in then the cleanliness is so many ways, like so many levels, but I really feel that if you want to get this deeper, then cleanliness is really the first step. Yeah.
Thank you. Jerwin.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. I hope it's evening in the other parts of the world or morning. My take on the cleanliness is that um, I've been meditating for a long, long time before joining the Theosophy. But it's a different way of, I've learned a different way because it's motivated through material things. So when I encountered the classical or other um, religious or spiritual type of medication without the too much motivation or attachment to things, I've learned the essence of meditations. By through meditations, I become more aware. And part of awareness is the cleanliness. When you become aware, you choose of every thoughts that coming in. It's like a train. So you choose, you filter. And along the way, in that way you become more and more reasonable, more. Although we say more often that it's not the reason that will take us to clean life, because it's clean life or spiritual cleanliness is a an in-depth topic. Anyway, although there are prerequisites for being clean, some teachings told us that before meditation we have prerequisites like 8 weeks of yoga or the what we call the eightfold path that really help us to in preparation in physical to even in moral parameters. So for me, cleanliness starts within. Start with our choosing to what we should do, and to choose always the right thing to do, and choose the truth above all. And you will notice that if you are aware, if you choose not the truth, it's like you are stirred up with mental turpitude. And choosing the truth is like, and this is my personal experience, I become more um I remember I could remember fast, or I could remember easily things when I choose truth versus when I was lying in the past. It's really hard to to remember things that would really help you in a certain situation. So yeah, that's my a personal explanation of clean life. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Jerwin. Is Vignesh next?
For you.
So this time you were wrong, Francis. Sorry.
Oh my gosh. All right. Fatima.
Yes. So nice to see you all. Whom I can see. Otherwise, so nice to hear you all. Yeah, I had two things to share, but I think I'm going to share the one I find more important, which is I feel that when we are doing this process of the cleaning, and especially when it comes to our thoughts and our reactions to things that can happen in our day-by-day life, and I think I mean, you read in many places like don't have reactions, or avoid any negative thought, or have this, but I don't feel you can castrate on that sense what comes like this, no? It wouldn't be, you would be then castrating your personality, your senses, and your capacities. I feel the work goes towards understanding the cause, the causes which are starts behind that, no? So maybe we realize that there is a fear behind an aggressive answer or behind an anger. What I try to say is you try to clean the anger, but that wouldn't work, and that is not yourself. I think there has to be an acceptance of what are the things on the table, and then really try to go to the causes. And that's why I think it is like, wow, if we would manage to understand all the causes, in the moment that is done, we are done. The work is done. So that's why I think saying that you need to come back again, and that it's also the final step. And yes, just about that, the cleaning for me goes into a gentle understanding of this. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a good one. Sweat. You will be the last. No, you're mute.
Yeah, sorry. Just to add that also, I think if we understand the consequences 100%, we also will be free from that action. So it's good to think about both, like causes and consequences, maybe. Thank you.
Okay. Actually, my point is the last point. Yeah, but thank you. You know, the part about cleanliness, as most of you are talking about it reminded me of how I think Chris was talking about it, right? We are all actually the Atman, the spirits. And then we start to become more and more manifested in the more denser planes. And each of the planes, as it goes down, is more of a fraction of the one that's before. And as we actually know that the causal body, or the mental body, is the bridge between the spiritual and the lower. And then you still have the etheric, which separates the physical and the astral, or the subtle bodies. Each of the bridge, to me, feels more like a kind of a lens or a glass. And as much as we can, we live a life that's clean. The lens gets cleaner and cleaner. We have less of emotions like the fog or inclarity of thoughts. As long as we have less of that, the spiritual light could actually shine more through it, and to be able to be manifested more in our physical life, right? In our actions, in our desires, and in the thoughts, the quality of thoughts. And I think during one of the sessions during the international convention back in 2023 in Adia, we had a session with Marco, Harry, about the ES, right? And one of the point that he made stuck to me very, very much to this day is that he says, when you're actually on the path, the key is for you to face front to the path. It's not so much about walking it only. And that actually got me, I thought about this because when we were looking at this, it would not be the first, but the last final step, but the final step. I think the clean life is not so much about we be clean and then we do something else and then we come back and reiterate. This has to be something that's constantly in our awareness. It's a state or the mind or the emotions of the clean life. So everything that we do might be actually propagated from that. It's a manifestation of the awareness of the clean life. That's my thought. So it's not just like first, final, or what. Okay, hurry. The last.
So I just wanted to add on something Fatima said because I thought it was interesting. When we look at a clean room doesn't necessarily mean an empty room. It doesn't mean we just remove everything. And when Fatima said, I guess it's the same for us as people also. A clean life doesn't have to mean we are castrating ourselves of, all the various whatever. So I think it's more of to continue doing what we are doing, to be open in all aspects of life, but at the same time, maybe be a little more organized consciously, because again, going back to the example of a clean room, it can have lots of things, but what does clean mean? Maybe clean means it's a little organized, or it's a little structured, maybe, or something like that.
Oh, that's a good point. I forgot about that. I want to add on that. There's one saying that you guys know Jordan Peterson, the psychologist, the clinical psychologist, but then super famous or notorious in whichever way you can put it. One of the first things that he actually said was, if you want to improve your life, start by making your bed first thing in the morning. Because I think it's not so much about cleanliness, it's also about organizing the order of life around you, the surrounding, right? And that also brings apart, right? If we actually read about, Thought Forms, the book, when you actually do have very clear and ordered thoughts, which is the basis of rituals and stuff like that, the basis of it, literally all the light and everything is a straight line. There's no fogginess, there's no fogginess is a hurry. There's no fogginess, there's no everything is crystalline. There's no amorphous, nothing amorphous about it. And the light will shine as bright as we can. That's where we have the, are you clear? Yes, crystal clear. That's what it means, crystalline structures. Yes. Okay, we will end here today. Christopher, you end here, right? Okay, let me highlight this. So we ended here today.
Sorry?
You read and ended here, right? I think. The passage you were reading just now. I think we only read until here, right? Good. So let's have 1 minute of silence, and then we shall actually do the universal.
Sorry, we might have read it, but maybe we can put a little bit upstairs because we didn't have it on a screen the last. Maybe
We didn't read that paragraph, I think.
Oh, so we will just.
Yeah, this is the last.
We only read, I think, the first paragraph.
Yeah.
Oh, we only discussed the first paragraph. Okay, yes, okay.
Yeah.
So,
we can reread the second part.
okay. So let's do 1 minute of silence, and we will end with the universal prayer, the old hidden life. Okay, just in case you don't know which one. Okay, 1 minute. O hidden life, vibrant in every atom. O hidden light, shining in every creature. O hidden love, embracing all in oneness. May all who feel themselves as one with thee know they are therefore one with every other. Thank you, everyone. It's a good session today. Let me stop the sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, see you the week after.
Yeah.